Hello, Namaste, and welcome to Agile Exploration Hub. I am your host Nagesh Deshpande. As promised, every Monday we are bringing new episode. So today's episode will also be a very interesting episode that we are going to discuss about something which is everyone is interested, that how to become a good agile coach. Hi Nishant,
Hi Nagesh, how are you?
I'm good. So, Nishant, as even everyone is aspiring, all the Scrum Master are aspiring to become a Agile coach. But how do you define a good Agile coach?
Right, and that's a great question, Nagesh. There is no universal answer to it, I suppose. But I think what I look for or what I look at is there must be at least few things that we should look at, right? One is an agile coach should be very knowledgeable about, what agile means, the principles, the values,
Right.
and even frameworks, right? What practices are useful to know and what processes, all those things. I think secondly, the person should be able to connect with people,
Right.
right? He should be able to use empathy. He should be able to use connection with leadership, right? He should be able to connect with all people at all levels, basically. I think number three, I think you, an agile coach should have a very good understanding of business as well as a bit of technology, at least, right? At least a
Right.
bit of technology, right?
Right.
So those are the few things, and definitely, he or she should be able to influence people, should be able to make people collaborate, right? Should be able to guide, should be able to coach, mentor, right? Because all these are skills required of an agile coach. So these are some basic skills, actually, right?
Absolutely.
But what makes a good agile coach is somebody who's able to put all these skills to practice, to work.
Exactly. Yeah. So it should reflect in his day-to-day activity, day-to-day functions when
Right.
he or she operates with people or leaders or
Yeah.
even with the teams.
Yeah. And to add one more thing, I think he should be adaptive also himself, right?
Yes.
He should be
Yes.
able to change as per the need
Yeah.
and be a continuous learner also.
Absolutely. Yes. So there is always people say that if you want to be coach, ask yourself, are you coachable?
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
if you are coachable, then you can think about becoming a coach. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, uh, which foundational skills should a Scrum Master um, uh, learn, adopt, or master before moving into coaching role?
So when you say that, you mean what skills should a Scrum Master possess before
Yes.
even trying to become an agile coach, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. So I think a good Scrum Master or a great Scrum Master should have great facilitation skills, right? Should be able to lead teams, help them out, right? Should be a servant leader, right?
Right.
Should have good knowledge of agile Scrum frameworks, right? A bit at least of Kanban, Lean, those things, right?
Mm.
Should have a flair for coaching. When I say flair for coaching, he or should he or she should understand how to coach people. He
Mm.
or she should have interest in coaching people, right? Because coaching is not just about telling people the process or the frameworks, right? It is also about coaching people, you know, looking at the need and deciding whether you need to coach or mentor or teach or train, right? And accordingly taking that stance, right? So he or she should have a flair for coaching. Should be able to, help and guide product managers, help and mentor scrum masters, right? Other
Right.
scrum masters.
Right.
And I think very importantly, stakeholders should be able to work with stakeholders and manage stakeholders, right?
Right.
And if I may add one more, um, preferably somebody who's more outcome focused than output focused.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have spoken enough about what is outcome focus and output focus. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to be you need to be outcome focused rather than output. So
yeah,
if you want
yeah.
to learn more about to my audience, if you learn about more about what is outcome focused and what is output focused, just put it in the comment. We'll share all the details around it. So
Right.
now moving on to very interesting next question is like, it's a little bit big question. So I
Hmm.
will expect some detailed big answer also. are there any pathways?
Mm.
Are there any guiding, are there any something which is people can look at it and find themselves saying that, yes, I can refer this to become a good agile coach.
Right. So when you gave me this topic a few days ago, I already looked up the competency model. So I have a slide presentation, which if I have your permission, I'll show that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
over the
Please share it.
screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So first time on Agile Exploration Hub, we are sharing the screen. Yes, yes,
Wonderful.
yes. Hmm.
Right. So I'll start with the competency models, Agile Coach competency model.
Right.
The one that you see on the screen came
Hmm.
from the ACI, the Agile Coaching Institute, which
Right.
includes Lisa Atkins and Michael Spade, right? And the book that you see on the left bottom right, the left
Yeah.
corner, that's Coaching Agile Teams. It's
Right.
one of the books, not the only book, but one of the books that anybody aspiring to become an Agile coach should read, or rather must
Absolutely.
read. It's a must read for
Yes.
everybody. Second, on the right hand side is that framework, the competency framework that these people came up with, right? On this slide, what you see is also called X-wing because it's shaped in X, right?
Right.
So if you look at the left-hand side, that is about content, right? So what content can you offer to your people that you coach? It's about teaching, mentoring. So how do you offer content to your people? Through teaching and through mentoring, right?
Right.
On the opposite side, which is the right-hand side, you'll see process. So this includes facilitations and professional coaching. So
Right.
people ask, why do we need professional coaching, in an agile coach's role, right? In that description, role description, why do we fit professional coaching and what exactly is this? And so professional coaching is about bringing the best out of people who are your client, right? Now, an agile coach may work with teams, may work with managers, project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, may also work with leadership. And
Right.
fortunately, at least I've been fortunate enough to have done some leadership coaching and I've treated them as my client. And that's where you
Right.
apply professional coaching, right? So you come to them, you talk to them, they come to you, they specify a problem that they're facing, and then you use powerful questions to guide them through the process and let them find the solution themselves. That's professional coaching in very, very
Right.
short, right? I can go on and on about professional coaching, but that's not the meat of this discussion
Yeah.
today,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right.
On top, you'll see Agile Lean Practitioner, which was basically about, knowing the Agile mindset, understanding the Agile mindset, knowing the Agile frameworks, Lean principles, all those things. And at the bottom, you'll see 3 domains.
Right.
So any Agile coach should be mastering technical domain, business, and transformation. The
Absolutely.
technology is obviously there. Business, you need to understand the functionality. You need to understand the domain. If you work in airline business, if you work in banking, you need to understand banking or whatever manufacturing it is, right?
Right.
Transformation mastery is how do you enable change? How do you transform a team or a program or a company or an organization to a certain state? So you need to be somebody who can transform. You should be able to execute transformations, plan and
Right.
execute transformation. And this
Right.
was a very basic framework.
Basic framework.
This came
Absolutely.
out in 2011 or something. Now in 2019, somebody called Jonathan Kessel added a few things on top of it, which is he added the last part the top part that you see, right?
Right.
He elaborated it and said, okay, agile and lean, mindset and behaviors, people and influence. So these are a few things that you need to focus on. Now, why are these important? For example, people and influence was not explicitly mentioned in the previous framework, right?
Hmm.
But if you're working with people, it's all about people, right?
Absolutely.
We always say that it's all about people. It's not about processes. It's not about frameworks. It's all about people, right?
Yeah.
So you should be able to work with people, influence them in the right direction, right? Everything else
Right.
stayed the same in this framework, right? So just an extended version. Now, the third one that came out is the coaching wheel,
Right.
which is now very popular and it has gone through some iterations. I think the last one came out in 2023. At the center of it is self-mastery. And that's what I
Right.
like about this. So you start from mastering yourself. You need to be self-aware. You need to know what your skills, your strengths, and your weaknesses are, right? And then you move with them, right? You need to constantly find out or realize where you're doing well, where you're not doing well. So that is the center of it. And then the other things about domain, content, facilitation, teaching, mentoring, advising, leading, all those skills are there, right?
Right.
All these definite skills as part of this circle or growth wheel are, a separate topic of their own. So I will not go into any of them. But this is the latest competency framework that is being used. Now, this is where you need to be as an agile coach, right?
Right.
Now, a lot of it might seem overwhelming, difficult, or new, but don't worry. There is always a pathway to it. And this is a pathway that came out, I think, from Tom Hoyland. So if you look at from the left to right, that's level 1, associate agile practitioner.
Mm.
There's no word coach used here, by the way. Then, then he says the next level is agile practitioner. The third is senior agile practitioner. From there, the path goes into two different possible paths. Either you become agile practitioner people manager, which means you become a people manager as well as an agile consultant or practitioner. Or the other pathway for you is you become a principal agile practitioner. So you are better than or more expert than the senior agile practitioner. And
Right.
finally, you have a head of practice for that department or organization, right? So that's a typical pathway. And you will see at least 4 or 5 levels here, right? Now, what I'll also show is, and this is again not mine, this is again coming from the same group.
Okay.
This is what is called agile practitioner role and stance metric, right? On the left side, you will see as rows, different areas, self-mastery. So agile lean, yeah, I'll explain it briefly. So on the left-hand side in rows, you'll see all the areas, right? Or the competencies.
Right.
So first is agile lean practitioner, second is servant leadership, third is coaching, fourth is facilitating, so on and so forth. Now what you'll see is and left to right, you have the levels. Associate practitioner, senior, principal, all of that, right?
Right.
So if I scroll right, for example, you'll see all these levels. Now,
Absolutely.
you'll probably also see some circling that I've done here, right?
Right.
So I'll take an example. So for example, for Agile Lean practitioner, an associate, a beginner, is somebody who wants to who develops a foundation understanding of the Agile principles, right? The next level is when he or she demonstrates those understanding of those principles. So when you develop something, you're learning something, right? But when you demonstrate, you're actually living those values and principles, right? And you can articulate the importance and impact of those values and principles. Very important, right? Now, the third level is you are now an expert in agile methods.
You need to be expert, yes.
Right. So you're not just demonstrating understanding of agile values and principles, you're also an expert at methods, and you can lead transformations, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
The next level
here you will guide Scrum Masters or junior or the people who just are in the first stage of the practitioners.
Correct.
You can coach them, you can guide them to become a better and reach next level. Yeah.
Right. So when we actually skip the third one, which is the applying the principles and practices to support the delivery initiatives, selecting the right approach. But in the last level, you're an expert and you can actually not just apply methods, you can also lead transformations, right? Similarly,
and is it going on the similar lines of Shuhari?
Not exactly, because Shuhari is a very unique concept, right?
Right.
So we typically intend to make a mistake of comparing Shuhari or trying to put Shuhari as something similar to everything that we do. But I would advise against that, because Shuhari is about, for example, Shu is about learning, right, and Ha is about you adapt, you change,
try to implement that, yes,
right, and Re is about completely doing your own thing, right? That's not what we are talking about here. We are saying you level up, you go one level up each time, right? So it's not Shuhari for sure. Similarly, then another example I have on coaching here. So at the associate level, you're seeking mentorship from other coaches, senior practitioners, right?
Right.
That's very important. Second is you're able to coach team level people. So you're able to coach team level and you're able to coach team members, right? Third level, you're able to coach teams. You're also able to participate in transformation initiatives, right? And the fourth level is you're an expert coach now, and you can coach leadership also, and you can create groups and coach those groups also, right? So your span is growing basically.
Absolutely.
So this framework, I like it a lot. I mean, I also created my own, by the way, last year, distilling a lot of things, but and it's very detailed out, even more detailed than this is actually. But this gives an idea of what it is to be like growing from an associate practitioner to an expert practitioner.
Nice.
Right?
Very nice.
Now, I've added something of my own today, which I'll share. Okay. I'm saying there are 5 areas where you need to grow yourself or improve, right? To learn, right? First is learn and teach. You need
Hmm.
to learn frameworks, practices, processes. You need to learn scaling patterns, right? So safe, less, DAT, all of those things. When I say DAT, discipline design, you need to broaden your agile toolbox. You need to have, understanding of customer journeys, story mapping, all those other things that agile coaches typically know and use. Value stream mapping, right?
Right.
All the methods to do fishbone, all those analysis methods. Then second, I'm talking about product thinking and coaching skills and systems thinking. So now what are these? Product thinking is about talking about outcomes, right?
Right.
When you work, even when you're working in services, right? You need to have product thinking. Why is it important? Because product thinking is about understanding why we are building something, who we are building it for, and what can we do to build it better. How do we collaborate with the end customer, right? How do we look at desirability, viability, and feasibility, right? All those things. Then obviously coaching skills, and then third is systems thinking. Well, you can talk about system thinking in detail, definitely. The third pillar here is business technology, definitely. So you need to be master at business and technology, but also you need to understand systems and org design. Now, we
Hmm.
don't usually talk about these things. I mean, at least I've not seen too many coaches talking about org design and systems design. It's very important when you're working at an enterprise level, right? You definitely need to know about these things even when you're
Hmm.
getting started as an associate agile practitioner. And when you get to a stage where you become an expert, you need to be really expert at org design and systems design, right?
Right.
And then you have change enablement, which is how do you implement change? How do you change things, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
need to understand the change frameworks, ADKAR, Prosky, all those models, etc., right? And then definitely you need to master metrics. You need to know which
Metrics
metrics
also.
to apply where and why. We
Yeah.
talked about metrics in another discussion, I think.
Yeah, we have enough episode on matrices.
Right.
So
Yeah.
major what matters is one of our episodes. So to my audience, if required, I'll put that episode into this video, so you can watch that video, which is
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah. The fourth pillar that I'm talking about is, you have to work at multiple levels, right? And when
Hmm.
you get an opportunity, don't just stick to the individual, the team level. You need to work at program and portfolio level, and also leadership coaching whenever you get an opportunity, right? And you don't get an opportunity just by yourself, just by it, right? You
Hmm.
need to reach out to people, talk to them,
Absolutely.
understand where they are struggling, what is their problem to solve, and then that's how you become a coach, right?
Absolutely.
So nobody will come to you saying, hello
I have this
Nagesh,
problem.
I have this problem, can you coach me? It doesn't
No,
happen
no.
that way in typical organizations, right?
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
you have to go. So to my audience, you have to go to a individual, maybe a group, maybe, and
Mm.
ask them what problems I can solve for you.
Yeah.
What are the challenges? Or try to just observe and see the challenges or patterns, anti-patterns into their working style, identify that, and then you can approach or then you can propose a help or try to resolve that.
Yeah.
And believe me, even you are working as a scrum master or agile coach, no one will come to you and say that we have this problem and solve this. No, they will
Yeah.
they will keep working with that problem, but
Yeah.
they will not say that this is a problem.
And that's very common. And the other thing you
Yes,
can do is also build genuine, strong connections with the people that you work with,
absolutely.
right? So that, they become comfortable sharing problems with you, right? The last pillar is about sharing and growing. So you
Share and
should
grow.
become,
Yes,
part of communities of practice, go to meetups, conferences, understand and observe other senior practitioners for how they behave, how they talk, how they, you can choose role models for yourself, right? Seek mentoring. If you are a person who is starting out as an agile coach or a budding agile coach, right? Seek somebody's mentoring there. Ask some senior practitioner to be your mentor. You may not need to ask them for their full time or on a day-to-day basis. No, whenever you have a problem or whenever you have a doubt, you can ask politely if you want, if they can speak to you, right? And that's how you kind of you know get your mind more clear, get more clarity, right? And
right.
last thing, as I always say, continuous learner. Be a
Continuously.
continuous learner. Don't think I've become an agile coach now. You don't
Yes,
need to learn anything more. No, we are all continuous learners. And if we are going to stay relevant, we have to be continuously learning.
great. We did discuss about product thinking a little bit here. Why coach need it? You explained it. You even explained about the importance of system thinking. But like let's try to understand about what are the some of the common mistakes that new agile coaches do.
Yeah, like something I did when I was an agile coach, starting out agile coach.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think when we get into an engagement or a assignment, right, we
Hmm.
look at problems and everything looks like, we need to solve it today or tomorrow, right? So don't be in a
Hmm.
hurry. That's
No
number
worries.
one,
Yes.
right? Observe first of all, build
Hmm.
connections, build your rapport, right? Be vulnerable so that people start, talking to you. Ask somebody else to, teach you something so that you can expect it, they can expect in return from you something that you can teach them, right? So what people typically do is they will think that, these are the problems I need to solve, so I need to let me solve them overnight, right? Second is um, not making friends or what is the right term? Champions, agile champions, right? You need to identify people who can support you in transformations, right? And you need to do it fast, right? So build your own tribe is what I say. Build your
Hmm.
tribe, people who are like-minded, who are favorable, who favor agile practices, principles, and all those things and methods. So build your tribe. Uh, don't ever think you can do it all alone. You can't do it alone. Trust me, right?
Absolutely.
The
Hmm.
third problem I've seen people mistake that people make is relying too much on frameworks, right? Saying, this is the framework I know, I'll just implement it here. No, it doesn't work.
No.
I've
No.
seen it so many times that, even a basic team learning framework like Scrum or Kanban, you can't just apply it blindly to each team, right? I've had to update, adapt, change, even, these frameworks when I was moving to another team or another portfolio or another area, right? So you need to tweak and change and adapt and understand the context before you apply anything, right? Don't apply frameworks blindly. Even scaled agile framework, a lot of people, just take it and apply it, right?
Right.
And some people, adapt it to a little bit and then still say that, we have adapted it. But if when you look deeper, it's the same scaled agile framework as it is, almost as
Right.
it is, right? Don't do that.
Right.
That's a sin actually, if you ask me, right?
Right.
The other mistakes that people make is you are working in a delivery framework and you have chosen some metrics, right? And you make a mistake with those metrics, right? So don't worry about output metrics like velocity or
Hmm.
cycle time or quality on those. You need to look at the customer or business outcomes, right? What revenue are we going to bring? What is the end user going to love about your product, right? All those things. So don't make those mistakes. Those are sins actually. Those are not even mistakes. Those are
Absolutely.
sins actually.
Yeah. So I'll add something here.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah. So the point that Nishant is trying to make is like we focus too much on velocity. We did one episode on this, entire episode on velocity.
Yeah,
And the outcome is like velocity, even if you achieve velocity of 100 to 100 point and it is not helping your customer, it is not adding any value to your customer, no matter how big number your velocity is, it's zero.
yeah,
Even if you achieve 5 velocity but your customer is getting more value than ever, it's good enough.
yeah,
So
and
always remember this.
yeah. And I think one more thing I should add is the systems part, right? We talked about
Yes.
systems thinking, right? For example, if you're working in a team and you improve that team to a level that it is, the most famous, popular team in the whole portfolio or in the organization, right? But that doesn't achieve anything if you ask me. Why?
Hmm.
Because the organization around that team is still the same, right?
Hmm.
They may still be working the traditional ways, and traditional is not bad, but they may not be as productive or effective or efficient as your this team is, right? So
Right.
focus on the system, not just your own team. And when I say system thinking, right, let me briefly also talk about that. So system thinking is about looking at all the parts. When you apply a brake to a car, it's not just the brake pad that is moving. There are a lot
Right.
of things that are moving. When you turn on your car ignition, right, your whole engine train starts moving. When you put your car into a gear, there are a lot of parts that are moving, including the wheels and everything. So think of the impact what of your actions on the other parts outside your team or outside your
Absolutely.
program or portfolio, right? Sometimes I've seen that people are unaware of the delays that might happen because of governance or release timelines. For example, if you're working in a bank, you need to have 2 or 4 weeks of notice to the release team before you can deploy anything.
Right. Right.
If you're not cognizant of that, you're thinking, I'm ready to deploy anything today or tomorrow. But when you go to release manager, he says,
Mm,
guys, give me a notice of 4 weeks, then I can talk to you, right?
right.
So be
So
aware of the system.
yeah. So I'll go back to the presentation that you presented. So to my audience, if you go back, if you reverse this episode, you go back, and in one of the things he mentioned about the business mastery. So that's the example I wanted to give once again. If you are working in a bank, you cannot just go and deploy something. So as an agile coach, you need to be aware of all such compliances and regulatory things, when you can deploy, when you cannot deploy, what are the rules behind it, what are the timelines. There's some in banks and all that, you need to be a month ahead ready, then propose the change board will accept or reject that change, and then only the deployment. If you are a coach and you are not aware of these kind of things, you will be in a big mess. So always remember, you need to learn all these business mastery as an agile coach.
Yeah. And so is with pharma and insurance also. And
Yes.
even in manufacturing, right? You can't just deploy anything because this
Yes.
needs to be ground tested, correct?
Yes.
So be aware of those things. Your solution is not the only thing in the world that is, going to change the world tomorrow. You
Yeah.
need to look at the things outside your solutions.
Yeah. And now, coming on to our last question, what role do continuous learning and mentoring plays in becoming a good coach?
I think continuous learning is something that is important for every individual, not just a professional, right? So even in our personal lives, if we are not learning continuously, we are still the same, right? And others
Right.
may be, learning more, and so we'll be left behind. That's one. But on a serious note, um, continuous learning is important because one, you want to stay relevant. If AI is the need of the hour, you need to learn AI, master AI, right? You need to at least understand what AI can do for you, correct? So you need to learn, always, right? Learn about new things, see what is happening in the outside world, in the business side, on the business side, on technology side, on the process side, what is evolving, right? So you need to learn. And secondly, when you learn new things, it expands your toolbox. I think somewhere I showed Agile Toolbox, right? So you
Right.
replace that with toolbox. So expand your toolbox, the skills, the knowledge that you have, right? You need to keep upping that. You may need to read books, you may need to read articles, you may listen to podcasts, you may listen to, practitioners talking about their experiences, podcasts like yours, Nagesh, or, even go to conferences, meet up and listen to what other people are talking about, right? So
Right.
expand your toolbox. And that is, if you don't have the will to learn continuously, you will not be able to do that. You need to find time for that also, right? Despite your busy office schedule, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to stay relevant, and it's also important for your own growth. If you don't learn, you'll stay behind. You'll stay where you are, and staying where you are is obviously like going
Back.
backwards.
Yeah. You'll go
Yeah,
back at eventually you will stay there and you will go back. Okay. Because people are learning, continuously learning. They are taking help from their mentors. They're going to conferences. They're listening to
yeah,
podcasts,
yeah,
and they are progressing in their careers.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, any other tips for new agile coaches before we conclude today?
Resume.
Hmm.
I think so. Don't be somebody who just knows frameworks. Don't be somebody who thinks that, since I've become an agile coach, I don't need to learn anything more. Seek mentorship. That's very important,
Right.
right? Because, and there's no harm, there shouldn't be any hesitation in seeking mentorship from senior agile practitioners or anybody who you can have access to. Other thing I
Right.
tell people is go out and meet people, especially people who are not from your area. For example, meet techies, right? Understand how they think, behave, talk. Meet people who are business analysts, understand
Right.
business from them, product managers and product owners, right? Meet them and meet your leadership, right? Wherever you get a chance. So do all those things and you'll probably shape into a much better individual and create a plan for yourself. Lastly,
Right.
you don't have all the
Absolutely.
lifetime to become an agile coach.
Yes. Right. So, from the entire audience of Agile Exploration Hub, Nishant, we really want to say thank you for being such a wonderful speaker today. And to my audience, if you really enjoyed this discussion, watch till the end, and then subscribe to my channel, like this video, share with your friends who wants to become an Agile coach. And if you have any questions, queries, or special comments, please put it in the comment box. So once again, thank you, Nishant. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Nagesh. Good talking to you today as well.
great. Everyone, bye bye.
Bye.